This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Carissa Thompson's joining me. It's the rare good fortune for our show.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me.
It's great for you to be here. I love that you're here. I don't know how many days we're fortunate enough to have. You're here tomorrow?
I'm here tomorrow,
Wow.
Yes. I take Valentine's Day off, you know.
Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day.
That's right. You know the day of February. Colin said earlier that he now knows when Valentine's Day is.
Yeah, I memorized this year.
I know. Yeah. I'm so proud of you. Christmas, let's go through that.
25th.
All right. Look, we're coming along,
4th
everyone.
of July is on the 4th of July. Got that one down as well.
Thanks for
I don't
having
know
me.
St. Patrick's Day. I don't have. When is it?
The 17th.
March 17th. Big drinker on the show's got it nailed down.
This segment brought to you by Guinness. Wait, that's not.
Let me start with this. Franl Reich. It was a backup quarterback in the NFL forever. And he was the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. And he was really, really good. And he's leaving now to be the coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm very happy for him because a couple of years ago, all my NFL sources kept telling me, remember that guy that used to be a backup to like Jim Kelly? Franl Reich, yeah? They're like, yeah, he's the hot new coaching prospect. Sean McVay and this guy, these are the ones I heard about. And Philadelphia also lost John DeFilippo, who is now the offensive coordinator for the Vikings. So Philadelphia now is lecturing everybody on fun football is the only kind of football New England stinks. You know, they're serious and stuff. Philadelphia, you do realize you lost your two best offensive coaches. That's going to leave a mark. Atlanta lost Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur, a quarterback coach. They went from first in points in the NFL to 15th. Washington Redskins lost Sean McVay, third in yards, 16th. Defense is simpler. The GM told me this years and years ago. Defensive players, they blow stuff up. It's not about choreography. Defense is about a level of regulated violence within your DNA and ecosystem. You like to blow stuff up. You like to make people uncomfortable. But offense is play design. So when a defensive coordinator leaves, Dan Quinn left Seattle, they were still number one. Carolina lost Sean McDermott, defensive coordinator. They got better. Todd Bowles, smart young coach for the Jets, left Arizona. No drop-off at all. But Hugh Jackson left Cincinnati as their play designer. And Andy Dalton went from, the red rifle to the beige water pistol. 8th in points to 24th. By the way, Anthony Lynn leaves Buffalo. They're now a bottom 5 offense. It's the same way in software. If Apple loses a software designer, like it matters. The really great coaches, this is where Nick Saban has really excelled at Alabama. He keeps replenishing the system with really smart offensive coordinators. Jim McElwain, Lane Kiffin. Before that, Doug Nussmeier. It's not about his defense. He keeps finding really high-end offensive guys as the game of football changes. Nick can take care of the defense. Nick can recruit and take care of the defense. He's won 5 of 9 titles. But his ability to adapt and find really profoundly talented offensive guy it's a gift. Losing defensive coordinators, you can lose those guys all day. But you lose your play designer, you lose a couple of your smart ears and eyes in a film room. Carson Wentz still a kid. That is a real loss. That is, and if you don't believe me, look around the league right now at the young quarterbacks flourishing. They're not flourishing because of defensive head coaches. Carson Wentz, Sean McVay, Jimmy Garoppolo. When was Andrew Luck at his best? When Bruce Arians was in the room. When did Andrew Luck struggle? When he wasn't. Philadelphia. How great is Doug Peterson? You'll officially find out now. He's got some replacing to do. I want to shift gears to this. There was a big trade last Thursday. But before that big trade, Lakers-Cavs, there was the big move. Boston Celtics and the Cavs. Where the Boston Celtics gave Cleveland Jay Crowder. And the Boston Celtics gave Cleveland Isaiah Thomas. And then Cleveland, of course, gets Kyrie Irving. Who won the trade? Who won the trade? Who won the trade? Well, clearly, Boston won the trade. Kyrie's a terrific player, always has been. And Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, not so much. And, you know, somebody told me something, and I think it's really smart years ago. Like, you want to make sure when you trade with somebody, you want to make sure you get value. But if you do by chance win the trade, you don't want to win it big. Or as our president would say, bigly. And the reason you don't want to win it big is because then you get a reputation. Oh, you don't want to mess with that dude. He's a little bit of a guru. And Jay Crowder was a 4-point-a-game player with Dallas. 4 points a game. 2 rebounds. He went to Brad Stevens, 14 points, 5 rebounds, better defense. Holy God. Isaiah Thomas, 14 points a game, Sacramento, Phoenix, Cleveland, 29 for Brad Stevens. The danger of what's happening, and this is the duality of life, with a bad day there's silver lining, with great days there's always baggage, is that Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder and Brad Stevens won that deal with Cleveland. But when you watch what's happened to Jay Crowder, he's back to being just a guy. And when you watch what's happened to Isaiah Thomas, he's less than just a guy. We have something now called the Brad Stevens effect. And you got to be very careful. Because now nobody wants to take Danny Ainge's phone call. This is the duality. This is the, we won the trade. Nobody wants to trade with you. Because now when Danny Ainge calls and says, want to make a deal? The guy on the other side of the phone says, well, yeah, all your guys under Brad Stevens are about 40% better than they really are, so we're not going to give you that pick. We're not going to give you that guy. We're not going to give you that shooter. We're not going to give you that big. Because we know it's the Brad Stevens effect. This has happened to Nick Saban. Nick Saban, we all know Nick is this national championship coach. Back when Nick was starting, he was a defensive backs coach. He just coached DBs under Bill Belichick. And throughout his career, he coached DBs. So that's his specialty. Now, Nick's a great coach, but his specialty is defensive backs. So if you go look at, since he's been at Alabama, the Alabama defensive backs, and these are just the guys drafted in the first round, over half have been busts. It's the Nick Saban effect. That Nick is such a great coach. And I'm just giving you the first round guys. I'm not giving you the second and third round guys. When defensive backs come in the league from Alabama, be very careful. They no longer have Nick Saban attached to their ear. Nick Saban takes defensive backs, and he is the best defensive backs coach in the country. That he takes these good players at Alabama, and he makes them look spectacular. And then you draft them, and you're like, oh, I get that player. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Nick makes them look better than they are. And so it's the Nick Saban effect with defensive backs. It's the Brad Stevens effect. So congratulations, Boston won the deal. But if I'm looking around right now, Jay Crowder went from 5 a game and a nobody under a good coaching staff in Dallas to like a 15-point, 5-rebound elite defender. Now Jay Crowder, he goes to Cleveland, and it doesn't even look the same. And now he goes to Utah, where they'll probably ask him to defend more than shoot, and his numbers will go down. So everybody always wants to, whenever that trade went down last Thursday, I went to Twitter. Everybody's like, won the trade, won the trade. You want to get value in a trade. You don't want to crush people, and you don't want to taunt it. Because in this league, even the best player, Michael Jordan, didn't end with the Bulls. I mean, this whole thing is it's a conveyor belt of commerce. Daryl Morey's on the phone every day. Daryl Morey wants to get value. He doesn't want to hang up the phone, and 2 weeks later, that GM's like, I got torched by Daryl Morey. Because, by the way, when you torch a guy once, like Danny Ainge torches you, okay, that's one thing. But if he torches you a second time, you get fired. And all these GMs are making 7 figures. They've got a couple of adorable daughters in prep school. They got bills to pay. You know what every GM in every sport's trying to do? Keep their job. And if you get torched twice by Danny Ainge, you lose that job, and you may never get that paycheck again. So congrats to Danny Ainge on the Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder win. But you won bigly, and everybody's noticing. All right, we got Chris Long of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. In fact, back-to-back. One with the Eagles, one with the Patriots. He'll be joining us. And that Lane Johnson guy for Philadelphia is wearing me out. I'm going to address that. I'm going right after that. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you said, man, I love my underwear? Yeah, I don't say it much either. I never did, in fact, and I was not a huge underwear guy until about 3 years ago when Tommy John was introduced to me. And it's this incredibly light, breathable fabric. My wife even wears it. It's not designed for women, but she wears it. I mean, not at the same time that I do. Anyway, that's too personal. But the point being, Tommy John is a great underwear. Socks that never fall down. It never shrinks. It never shrinks. No wedgie guarantee. Go to TommyJohn.com right now. Promo code HERD. Save 20% in your first order. TommyJohn.com, code HERD. TommyJohn.com. Backed by their best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose. Upgrade, baby. Valentine's, by the way. You got to tip the cap to me on that one. It's coming up Wednesday, and I've memorized it. Why don't you tip your cap to the herd a little bit? I got underwear here that you'll never beat, and I've memorized Valentine's Day.